Hey everybody, welcome to the 700 Club. Thanks for joining us. We have a great show today coming up. As mentioned, we're joined by actor Jim Caviezel as he talks about his new film, Sound of Freedom. Plus, World Series champion Jason Grimsley is here to share his remarkable testimony of how God rescued him when he thought all hope was lost.
But first in the news, under siege, the nation of Haiti is being overrun by criminal gangs, raping, killing, and starving the population. Haitian police have failed to stop the violence, so citizens are resorting to vigilante justice. George Thomas reports on Haiti's biggest crisis in more than a decade.
The head of UNICEF in Haiti tells CBN News that 80% of the Caribbean nation's capital city is in the hands of more than 200 criminal gangs.
Right now, the humanitarian situation is really catastrophic. Actually, it's one of the worst crises Haiti has been through in the past decade.
Port-au-Prince almost completely surrounded and cut off from the rest of the island.
Armed groups have been isolating parts of Port-au-Prince. They've been using siege tactics.
165,000 Haitians forced to flee from their homes in recent weeks after gangs went on a killing and raping spree, only to suffer in makeshift camps like this one.
We live in misery. We can't find food. There's no drinking water. We don't live like humans. We are humiliated.
Aid agencies are warning that half the country is now at risk of starvation.
The violence in Haiti is also about the control over resources, over valuable resources, and one of those happens to be food. And we've seen farmland being fought over. We've seen trucks with food being pillaged. We've seen humanitarian warehouses be looted.
Also caught in the crossfire, some 3 million children facing acute malnutrition. Parents forced to bring their kids to hospitals for safety after gangs attack neighborhoods in their battle for territory and control.
The parents are unable to look after their children. The majority of the children who arrive are malnourished who cannot find food.
Mounting anger and frustration, meanwhile, at Haiti's national police, unable to quell the violence. The UN saying more than 1,600 people were killed, injured, or kidnapped in the first 3 months of the year.
Despite all their efforts and all the cooperation and equipment, training and input it gets from the international community, the Haitian police is not at this moment able to defend its people.
So Haitians like Mertil Marceline joining a vigilante group that's been hunting down and reportedly killing gang members.
Today, it is not the United States, France, or Canada who will come to get us out of our situation. It is with a machete that we can get out of this situation.
That kind of justice breeds a whole other system of insecurity.
American Kevin Foldy serves as a missionary to Haiti.
People are getting tired of it, so there has been a movement underway where a lot of local people have gotten involved in a vigilante type of justice, which you can say whatever you think about that, but that's just desperation. It's where they're at right now.
Cindy McCain, the widow of late Arizona Senator John McCain, calling Haiti a forgotten crisis as she recently toured the island trying to rally international support.
I am here to raise the alarm bells about Haiti.
Foldy is asking people around the world to pray for Haiti.
Pray for hope, pray for God to provide for them. Something will happen with the country, with the government, that things will be able to get stabilized and the course could get changed here.
George Thomas, CBN News.
Well, we thank George and the CBN News team for bringing this story to our attention. It's not getting enough coverage in this country or internationally. You see from those pictures and that video, it is a horrendous situation. And George mentioned people at hospitals, just getting to hospitals is difficult. And now these gangs are kidnapping and recruiting young children to serve in these gangs. And I hope the international community can respond. I mean, when these citizens are having to defend themselves with machetes, it's a terrible situation. So hopefully the international community can take note. In other news, severe weather is creating chaos at our nation's airports just days before a major holiday weekend. George Thomas has that story from our CBN newsroom. George?
Yeah, Andrew, it's a mess out there. Dark and stormy skies making for travel turmoil. In the Northeast on Tuesday, there were more than 2,000 flights canceled and 7,000 delays.
It's not raining at home and it's not raining here, so I'm just confused why planes are not flying.
We're trying to just get home to our baby.
Now they're giving us a flight to
for the 2nd of July. I can't wait until July the 2nd. I mean, yeah, it's like 7 days, 6 days from now. It's ridiculous.
It looks like an apocalypse. It really does. Everybody, is just sprawled out on the floor.
Wow, we imagine waiting till July 2nd. Airlines blame the FAA for lack of staffing to handle the crisis. Meanwhile, smoke from those Canadian wildfires, they're back, which could add to the travel problem this holiday weekend. Former President Donald Trump is offering an explanation for an audio recording where he's heard talking about a plan to attack Iran. At a meeting in 2021, Trump is heard claiming to hold a confidential and secret document from former Joint Chiefs Chairman Mark Miley. Take a listen.
Just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, Except it is like highly confidential, secret.
The audio is a key part of the indictment in the government's case against Trump for allegedly mishandling classified material. Trump now says that he didn't really have the document he was referring to, telling ABC News, quote, "If you want to know the truth, it was bravado. I was talking and just holding up papers and talking about them, but I had no documents." The former president faces 37 counts related to his handling of classified documents, including obstruction of justice. White House hopeful Ron DeSantis is taking aim at a signature piece of criminal justice reform signed by then-President Trump. The First Step Act revised federal sentencing guidelines to help inmates return to society and reduce recidivism. DeSantis says the measure is soft on crime, and he wants to repeal it. CBN's Caitlin Burke has more.
Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis refers to the First Step Act as a jailbreak bill. He claims it's allowed dangerous people out of prison who have then gone on to commit more serious crimes.
If you are in jail, you should serve your time. And the idea that they're releasing people who have not been rehabilitated early so that they can prey on people in our society is a huge, huge mistake.
Repealing this legislation would be difficult, given the wide bipartisan support that sent it to President Trump's desk back in 2018. The House approved the bill by a vote of 360 to 59, including a yes vote from then-Congressman Ron DeSantis. An architect of the bill, former Republican Congressman Doug Collins, says the reversal by DeSantis is simply an effort to differentiate himself from Trump.
I think this one was more of a political move for some headlines that, frankly, should have been thought about better.
The First Step Act aims to tackle recidivism rates by addressing the needs of prisoners before release.
Looking at things like alcohol addiction, mental health issues, educational gaps, skills gaps.
Data paints the measure a success. A 2023 Federal Bureau of Prison report shows less than a 12% recidivism rate for a majority of those released under the program. That's down from a 50% rate for those released before the First Step Act became law.
The ones who need to stay there need to stay there. And if they're done terrible things, they need to stay there completely. But just the way our system works is people do come home.
Christian Ministries also backed the legislation, viewing it as an opportunity to make an impact on criminal justice reform.
The First Step Act signaled an opportunity for ministries to really articulate a stance on punishment.
Kate Trammell, Vice President of Advocacy for Prison Fellowship, says while it's important for lawmakers to address violence, she hopes the priority is addressing what's broken with the system rather than what works.
We want elected and appointed officials to grapple with these challenges on our behalf so that we are safer and stronger as communities, but we want them to do so taking advantage of everything we've learned in the past decades about how to do that in a way that produces real results. And the First Step Act is one of those policies that is yielding good fruit.
Still, as big city leaders face criticism from residents about being less safe, a number of Republican candidates are joining DeSantis in calling for a more tough-on-crime approach. Mike Pence recently admitting it's time to rethink the First Step Act. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.